Hi guys, so welcome today. We've got another legend on today from England. We have got the fantastic IFBB pro Eddie Abbew. So,
Hey,
hi Eddie, you all right?
I'm good, man. I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Amazing, mate. Thank you. We're just so thankful that you've come on. It's fantastic.
That's okay. That's okay.
So, what we're going to do, as usual, guys, is we're going to get all of Eddie's career, what he believes, training, nutrition, everything. So then you've got all the info that you need, and then you can take it away, take it from there. So if we could, Eddie, if we could start just how you got into bodybuilding, and then if you take us on from there through your career, if you would.
I I'd like to say that bodybuilding sort of found me in a way.
Okay.
I left home when I was 13, 14 years old. I was born in Ghana, but I won a scholarship to go to like a private British school in Kenya. And as soon as I went there, the army was overthrew the government in Ghana. So I ended up stuck there for 6 years without going home on holidays, not even once. So basically,
Right.
what happened was So I found some weights in one of my teacher's gardens.
Right.
It was a big boarding school. I wasn't allowed to. Someone was out of bounds, but I sneaked into his garden. I saw, I think, a squat rack. This is like we talk about 81, 80, 81. I saw a squat rack. I saw a pair of dumbbells, and I thought, so I started training. I started doing concentration curls and dumbbell flies. And by the time the school opened, my arms were already over 18 inches. And
Wow.
people were like, oh my God. So I started charging people to show them what I did. Then
Right.
we subsequently, this is back in Africa, subsequently made our own weights and it led on from there. And then I saw a magazine with Sergio Oliver, and I remember thinking, oh my God, how does anybody, I didn't even know anything about it, I didn't even know drugs. I just saw, I was a 15-year-old boy. I'm like, how does a person get like that? So my quest was to get to look like that. So, I just got up the bug. I actually just enjoyed the training. I didn't want to emulate, we just want to enjoy the training. And then eventually one thing that led to another. I started making a lot of improvements. And then when I left school, I stopped training because university, and I studied. I'm a qualified nurse, as you know, and
Yeah.
that's what I did. And then afterwards, when I saw that Sergio Oliver was Mr Olympia, and I remember thinking, wouldn't it be nice to stand on that Olympia stage once when I was 15? And that's how my dream started, and I chased it ever since.
Amazing. So how
And
did you, when you came to England then, is that when you really sort of got cracked on with the bodybuilding or?
okay, so when I finished, when I finished, and I was going to I went the nursing. After nursing, I
Yeah.
realized that I wanted to do nursing because nursing had a especially when if you qualified in the UK, because it was very well recognized
Yeah.
worldwide. So my
Yeah.
goal was to go move to the States
Okay.
to start the bodybuilding, because I thought that was the only way you could get bodybuilding. I mean, you get my bodybuilding on track. And then
Yeah.
I met my wife, and then the baby came along when we were both students, and then the dream sort of changed. And then I found out I could actually get onto the stage from the UK. So
Okay.
that's what my goal was, just get on the stage once, and that's what I did. So that's how I ended up being. So I was nursing and bodybuilding at the same time, and then eventually I stopped nursing, and then I carried on the bodybuilding. And then afterwards I got my gym, and then I retired. But
Oh,
you asking me, yeah, go on.
I was just so. What was sort of like your first sort of introduction to competing and everything? Then, where did you get into that?
Do you know my first competition? I don't know if any of you, if either of you are aware of the old school bodybuilders. They people like the British ones. I'm talking about people like Linky Wilson,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
um, Peter Chapman,
yeah, yeah,
Eddie Elwood.
yeah.
They were all at my first qualifier. All those three.
Believe it or not, we've actually got Eddie Elwood on the podcast next week.
Absolutely. And Eddie Elwood, he came in and kicked my ass. I mean, he looked. I remember looking at him thinking, "Damn." And
Yeah,
anyway, so that was my first show, and then my second show, I was beaten by the Gladiator. I actually posted a picture of him yesterday. Jefferson King, the
yeah, yeah,
Shadow. He
yeah,
won the second one. Then I took a year off. I came back, and then I started kicking ass, which is good.
yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Because I can remember you looked phenomenal then at that point. But you got even sort of, I don't know how heavy in that, how, because I mean you were huge, weren't you, when you did sort of the professional sort of status of it? Not that you
Oh,
wasn't, but
My first show I lost to my size because I didn't. The guy was remember Malcolm Brown. Malcolm Brown. He was middleweight British champion in
Yeah.
87, 85, something like that. But he was preparing me for my first ever show. He helped me towards the end, and I didn't really understand what was going on very much, and I had so many, as a parent, new parent, so things didn't go as well. So afterwards, I decided to grow. I took a year off just to grow, and I'd never been on the gear. I didn't realize that you had to be on the gear. So I went on my first course, and I went from 15 and a half stone to 19 stone in about 12 to 16 weeks, and that was it. I thought, nah, I can do this.
Wow.
And it was 3 sustenance and 2 decas. That's 250 milligram decas. You know the ones the organon ones, and then the SAS was also organon. Literally just blew up. I was shocked. And then I realized I could do it.
People would class that as off now, wouldn't they?
Oh, absolutely. It's like cruising now. They don't realize how much we took back in the day. We didn't. But the drugs were real as well. We used to get them for pharmaceutical stuff, wasn't it?
Absolutely. So when did you? What year were you on the Olympia stage then, Eddie?
I was 2007.
Right.
So 2007. I want to see. People don't realize that there's a lot more at the background scenes in bodybuilding. It's not. When you look at how many times have you watched the show and you thought, why did that person win?
Yeah.
It's all in the background. So I wasn't going to waste my health or my energy on the Olympia as such. I just wanted to get on the stage. So I used that time. I qualified to actually make money. I was doing the guest spot left, right, and center in Italy. I was there every weekend doing the qualifiers. I just so many guests because I just wanted the money. I knew I was going to beat Jake Carl. I wasn't going to beat Ronnie Coleman. I was going to beat the guys who established Dexter Jackson. They're all there. In 2007, I saw Victor Martinez had that show. He was incredible.
Right.
J1, and it's just another story. I mean, but so I wasn't going to kill myself over it. So to me, it was just like getting on the stage once, and that was enough. After that, I just thought, well, it's an exhibition.
Did you sort of feel that to do that, you were sort of pushing things too much to be sort of that level?
You see, they had an advantage or disadvantage, because if I went to a gram of coke, a gram of test, for instance, I got panic attacks from them. Okay. So I only literally, my wife is my witness. I couldn't, and all my training partners knew I'd get panic attacks when I went over 750. So I had to stay below that all the time. And what actually made me grow a lot was insulin. I did insulin. I started working with Milos in about 2003, 2004, and he taught me a protocol for insulin that worked really well. So I did most of my growing through using insulin, not the anabolics as such.
That's interesting. So, when you said you had like the panic attacks, Eddie, was that because of the amount of test, or was that probably more that you were wooded even further for your health, or maybe a combination? I've got no idea. My doctor thought it was depression. I didn't realize what it was. Right. Okay.
I didn't realize it was. I was getting these panic attacks. I'd be in bed, all of a sudden I wake up. Literally, I felt like something. I was gonna die. I'd be in my car driving on the M1 at about 3 o'clock in the morning, just up and down. That's the only thing that calmed me down. I listened to music, and eventually I went to my doctor, and the doctor said, "Look, you're just depressed." Then my wife said to me, "Look, why don't you just come up with that shit and then see what happens?" I came off it, and I realized that's what it was. So I had to always, it was. I used to get even now, like now I have to do TRT, okay, and it has to be a certain amount. If I go slightly over, I get those attacks. They're not as bad as they used to be. No, I think something with my receptors. Nobody can actually explain it to me, and I'm not going to risk it. Okay. Literally, you feel like you're about to die. The world's coming to an end. You got to run away, and then you get diarrhea. It's like your body gets in that flight or fight mode constantly.
Yeah.
Touch wood, I haven't had any for about 10 years. So I'm happy.
Well, thank God. That's the main. So just before we move on to your training and so how did it feel to actually get on Olympia stage? Because that must have been amazing to actually be there.
Do you know, people always ask me my experience of the Olympia, and there's one thing that really blew my mind is when I was driving from, I don't know if you've been to Vegas before. I've been to Vegas.
I've been to Vegas before, but never for the Olympia, yeah.
Okay, but you know, I was when you're driving from the airport through the strip.
Yeah.
It was at the Orleans, and on the billboards you could see massive, big, giant posters of screening of the Olympians, and every competitor's picture comes up massive, big, and people are looking at it, and your name comes up, and you just think, "Wow!" Now, I mean, it wasn't. I mean, being on the stage, I knew what the Olympia was about. It was not. It's more of an exhibition than a competition. That's how I looked at it. I didn't really put as much into it as I should have. I mean, I know people probably wouldn't understand that, but because people are so delusional these days, you know, they don't think, you know. I think sometimes the drugs make us slightly delusional, and we don't realize that we're not as good as, especially nowadays, it's even worse. So I knew what was at stake. I knew my health. If I couldn't push it, I'm not going to be any of this. I've got 40. My calves are like prunes sitting back of my kneecaps. You know, they don't. I trained them for 30 years. They grew half an inch, so I stopped training them. You know, I know these guys inject their calves. I wasn't prepared to do that. I wasn't going there. I knew I wasn't going there. I was going to make the numbers, and it's an achievement to get on that stage.
Absolutely.
In itself. You know, so that was it. You know,
what was it like, just before we move on, Eddie, what was it like backstage? Were the guys shocked? Were you sort of vastly impressed, or did they maybe not look quite as good as you expected? Or?
Oh, no, they look good. I mean, Victor Martinez is out of this world. Jay Cutler's out of this world. Ronnie Coleman is out of this world. You're looking at, because you're standing behind them and you're watching them pose in front of you, and you look at them and you're saying, wow, you can't beat that. They're just even more impressive in real life.
They're
more impressive than they are in the pictures in real life. It was awesome. Then backstage, and I tell you what, I took from that. And subsequently, did a lot of prep. I prepped a lot of athletes. What I took from that was that we're all different. There was somebody eating somebody backstage eating Chinese, right? Someone is mixing something called Vitago, car powder, and drinking backstage. Someone was eating baby food. Everybody was doing something completely different. People were drinking water. People were not drinking water. So we were all different. That's what I took from bodybuilding. I realized that we're all different. That's why, you know, anyway, we're going to talk about what they say the bodybuilding now. I'm sure we're going to talk about it. And I'll tell you.
Most definitely we are. But first, if we could, before that, I'd just like to, because people are always interested in that, is do you have a training style or that you recommend, or is it like you say, do you do something different for each individual? Or so I've seen you train before, and I don't know whether you've changed now. It's a few years ago, but I know you like to quite mix things up, don't you? So maybe are you used to that? Maybe it wasn't the same each time and things like that.
It's funny because I've got a young lad who's prepping a lot of people. He's doing quite well. People. He's a member of my gym. He's a friend of mine. Yeah. And I was talking to him last week, and he in the office, he comes to my office and he's talking to me and said to me, "Look, what's going on with? How come?" He saw a picture of that Jefferson King, you know, that shadow.
Yeah.
And he goes to me, look how incredible this guy looked, and I don't understand. It says, "How come you guys all look better than we do now?" Because I'm not being, with no disrespect to what's around now, but right this minute, I know this is going to sound controversial, but I don't see many people. I don't see anybody in the pro rounds in the UK who would gone to Britain and kicked being someone like Emery Francis, Ian Wadley, Ernie Taylor, me. Nobody. No, I'm talking about pros. I'm talking about from the pro level in the country. In this country, there's nobody.
There would have won people. There's no way.
There's no way. Maybe Luxando, but obviously it's not here. Luxando, a bit.
You know what? To break you off, can you remember a guy? Because a lot of people can't. But I was super young then. I was just started training and things. But there was a guy, and he won the 90 kilo class.
What's his name?
In the early 90s, and it was called Herman Jimenez. Can you remember him?
Yeah. Herbert Jimenez. I know.
How phenomenal were he for a 90?
Incredible. Yes, yes, I know.
Absolutely, you know.
Do you know what? It's funny. Yeah, that's the old. What happened? What happened to him?
Do you know what? I'll tell you a little story. I went to he competed in them shows, and it were quite. I remember talking to someone. I can't remember who it was, and he was a judge, and he said to me that if Herman had been as good as he was at the qualifier,
Yeah,
thinks he would have beat Eddie for the overall. Now,
absolutely, yes.
I don't know, but that's what he said. Now,
but I agree.
Yeah, I went to a show almost a year later at Torquay.
Yeah.
And as I say, I was a young kid, and I went to the toilet, and as I came out of the toilet, I bumped into someone, and his hair were down here. And you know when you see someone think, I know who that is, and he actually turned to me and he went, you know who I am, don't you? And I went, well, kind of, but I don't. And he went, I'm Herman Jimenez, and I'm not joking, it was like a pen.
Yeah, he's giving up. I think something happened.
Nothing. His girlfriend had a baby, and that was it.
Okay.
He couldn't train. He couldn't afford to do anything, and he just lost it all like that. And
I mean,
the great pro because he looked incredible.
He was incredible. So this is genetics. This is what we had. That's why bodybuilding. I know it sounds terrible, but it bores me now. I find it so pretentious. I find it so stupid. I find it people winning shows and look at them thinking, I'm not, dude, you're shit, but I'm saying it openly, you're shit. You're standing there with the trophy in your hand and you think you're great because social media has made people think that they're better than they are. And you know how these things work.
To be honest with you, Eddie, as well, I mean, I don't think, and this is not me having a go at them in any shape or form, but I don't think some of these gyms help where all it's taking amazing pictures of themselves in front of this brand new thing. And you know, when I first went to a gym in sort of early 90s, everybody was just sweating and training and everything, you know, and that just buzzed you to do the same. You know, you just wanted to do the same.
Do you know, I've got one of those gyms directly opposite me. Actually, one of the guys who I used to help out the PT when they opened a similar gym opposite me, which is fine. But then the thing is, I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, that's not what I want bodybuilding was to me. The gym was a different environment.
Yeah.
We used to come in there and people come in, they get on with it and they train. Now people got stands, they got this, they got this. Somebody says to me, can you put a logo here so we can take, these photos? I'm like, fuck that. That's not what, if you want to take a photo, take a photo. I'm not going to make the gym just so you can take photos because that's not the place.
You know, it's like I said.
But that's how it is now. That's how it is. We can't knock it because they say, oh no, you're too old school. So I want to stick to my school. I like my school. Yeah,
absolutely. So so if you could just go into how you trained and you know, and how you recommend if you do a style or.
You know, I was doing a photo shoot. If you look at my social media page, you see a picture of a flex cover. And this the shoot, when I was doing the shoot, and the photographers, the person who's doing the article, he asked me, he said, what do you do for your biceps? And I told him, and he goes, that's not, in theory, you shouldn't be able to have biceps like that. If that's how you train them, you do like 15, 20 reps and high, or, you know, that's supposed to be slow twitch, fast twitch. I'm like, shut the fuck up. Bodybuilding is not a textbook sport. The reason why we're not seeing the results that we're seeing is because all the British, so these kids are looking for something that's written down for them to copy.
Yeah.
But bodybuilding is not like that. They look for something that's written down. So they listen to somebody, a guy, I think JP, I don't know who he is, but this is this person who pushing on this crazy training. All the physiques look the same. All the people,
a lot of drugs.
And,
so you need pushing a lot of drugs, but guys are taking a lot of drugs now. You know,
they're taking a lot of drugs. So if we took the drugs that they took now, we'd be monsters. We'd all be monsters back in the day. I know that, but I'm looking at them thinking the training intensity is gone.
Yeah, absolutely.
The training intensity is gone. We went to the gym. I trained with people like Ricky Welling, Charlie Clement. Do you remember? I was at my training.
Charlie's coming on soon, hopefully.
Who is that?
Charlie Clement's coming.
Yes,
soon.
Charlie. So it's wonderful. Yeah, it's. I mean, we don't really have to interact much anymore because some other, but it's neither here nor there. But we used to train. I was training together, and the training was insane because
Yeah.
We were competing with each other, even though we didn't set out to compete. If we did 12 reps, I'm doing more than that, and
Yeah.
vice versa, and constantly pushing each other. We enjoyed training. Training was
You guys as well, because I mean I've seen your videos. Used good form as well.
all the time.
I don't know what we've had this discussion, me and George, lots of times on these podcasts, and they've all come back with the same answer, which I'm sure you will. For me, at the moment, progressive overload has taken over everything, and it's not powerlifters. So yes, of course, over time you need to get stronger, but you need to get stronger with precise form and things.
Can I tell you a story? Right. So we talk about progressive overload. These are things that we discarded back in the 90s and the 80s because they were not creating the physiques that we wanted. So I've got and it's a friend of mine. He owns Body Limit Gym in St Albans.
Okay.
I've about 5'5", 5'6", and he used to outlift me on quads.
Yeah.
But my quads were twice his size.
Yes.
It's not about strength. It's about, you see, when I go to the gym, I still follow the Weeders principles. I know the old school, but I follow them. That instinctive training, rest pause. That's like, if I go to the gym and I'm thinking, you know what, I want to do dumbbell press, I pick the weight up, no, I don't feel it, change something, do something else. So every single workout that I do is different. I'm not tracking. I'm people sitting there, they do a set and I call them tomatoes and onions. They make a list, they make a shopping list, and then they sit down. We used to laugh at them back in the day, but now because those guys never got anywhere. That's why we need to laugh at them and think, oh, here we go. People that did that back in the day didn't get anywhere. I see them now, and they said to me, we should listen to you. We went to the gym because we enjoyed training. It was instinctive. We went to the gym. You find today, somebody says to me, so how much can you bench press? I don't know. It depends on what time of my workout that I do the bench press. Sometimes I do bench press as a last finishing movement, and I'm struggling with 60 kilos.
Yeah.
Sometimes, so that training, they're taking the fun out of training. Training is not fun anymore.
No, I'll tell you a quick story. I lived in the States for a little while.
Yeah.
And actually went to World Gym. Yeah. And Lou Ferrigno was, and he was massive. He was absolutely huge. Have we lost him, George?
Yeah, your voice is
still there.
Yeah, I can hear you.
And he's disappeared off my screen. I don't know if he's on yours.
It's on mine. Yeah.
Can you still hear me at least?
I can hear you, but you're frozen. You keep freezing. That's okay. I can hear you now. Go on.
Okay. Yeah, so I was training in World Gym in California when Lou Ferrigno was getting ready for his comeback.
Yeah.
Now, if he ever sees this, he might tell you I'm not telling the truth, but I am. It was bench pressing, flat bench, and he had 2 plates and a 10 on each side.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
He was struggling with it.
Yeah, of course.
He was struggling. His form was fantastic, though. It was all chest. Yeah. And you just think, like you've just said, I've seen guys lift twice as much as that, and the chests are nowhere near the size of it.
It's very sad because I see people with incredible genetics, okay? And I look at them and I'm thinking, I could actually make you a champion in less than 2 years. But they won't listen to me because they bought into this nonsense where they rack everything down. Being strong, being able to lift more in the next session doesn't equal muscle gains. It doesn't mean it at all. We knew that. We discarded that idea a long time ago because look at, I suppose if something is written down and it's marketed really well online, people are buying it the same way people are buying all these stupid things on social media or these influencers. People are easily influenced. People are gullible. And we're telling people, look, I've created so many IFBB pros, so many champions over the years, but people don't listen to me anymore because they'll listen to somebody who's got like how many followers on Insta, thinking that they know, and they're doing some. They got this massive big hamstring, but they're using a band that big, and they think, "Oh, that's what I'm going to do." Or look, I see these machines that people buy, and these machines look good on Insta, but they're shit to use. I'm not kidding you, right? They are absolutely shit, but they look. But that's it. the stuff I've got in my gym and the stuff that I trained my physique on. And when I was buying, I was buying my gym. I went around looking for all the stuff. I like this machine. I'm buying it. I like this machine. Secondhand. That's what I bought, and that's what I've got. People come to my gym. They're like, "My God, I didn't know you had all this stuff." I'm like, "Yes," because it's modeled on some gyms like Muscle Works, and there's those proper gyms that we used to go in.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. So you kind of used the sort of techniques of rest pauses to extend sets and things like that, and drop sets and those types of things.
Everything, and rest pause, drop sets, force reps. Like what I say most about it is the instinctive training thing. You go down the gym and you're doing the movement and you're not feeling it. Stop. You're not there to see how strong you are. No, you know what? When you're standing on the stage, no one gives a monkey's how strong you are.
Oh, that's very true.
You're being judged on how you look, but these kids are just right. You see, so I just think, I don't know if you're a millennial, but the millennials always want to find something to be obsessive about. So they working on their macros, and I'm thinking, okay, you working, that's okay, working the macros, but people are trying to lose weight. I've got a lady who's in her 60s, she's trying to lose weight. She went on doing online, someone told her to work this out, she's fucking confused. Look, so are you going to be doing that when you're 80, sitting in the hospital, nursing home, going, you know what? I want 50 grams of fat. That find a way of eating. Find a decent way of eating. We just ate. We didn't complicate bodybuilding. We made it fun. We're in the gym.
Which is what people are doing now, isn't it?
Yes, it was fun. It was like a fun sport. Now it's not. It's like social media bragging. It's about social media bragging. How many times have we seen somebody on social media? You think, because I got more muscle in my ribs than you got in your whole body. And you're standing there with a trophy in your hand. They're like, "Oh, look at my thank you, coach." It looks like a coach.
I think maybe the writing of things down in the gym, possibly came from Dorian.
Absolutely, yes.
He did, but I mean, Dorian. What people forget with Dorian is exactly what you've just said. Dorian trained very, very hard.
Yes. But he's an animal. He was an animal. Dorian was trained like an animal. Plus, he had the genetics to put on the fucking size.
Yeah.
And people don't listen. Dorian's a one like Mike Manson, his brother, who are both dead, incidentally, by the way. These are people who, who had different genetics. They were, you can't copy what Dorian did because Dorian's work ethic was different.
Absolutely, and like you've just said, the work ethic as well. They also forget that when he wasn't in the gym, everything was spot on all the time.
All the time. He didn't go anywhere. He didn't go anywhere. He did. All he did. He lived. Now, if somebody's prepping for a show with me, he goes, "Oh look, can you? I can do about. Can I own a bit of alcohol in my cheat meal?" I said, "Fuck off! Fucking look." There's this word in the diary called sacrifice.
Yeah.
If you want to achieve something, sometimes you're going to make sacrifices. People don't want to do that now. They want to have your cakes and eat it. And I'm thinking, so now I backed up.
It's exactly like you just said. The trouble with social media is they make out that guys that used to look like you just ate all day, never suffered when diet were on. You can't look like that and not have any suffering, or it was. It's tough to look like that.
Yeah, it's the truth. I mean, I've got kids. My daughter, my oldest, is a counselor, and she's brilliant because she breaks things down for me. She's doing her masters now. She breaks things down for me. Sometimes I've had to apologize to her because I was complete cock when I was literally. You had to focus. You had to do what you had to do. Yeah. Nothing else mattered because I had a goal, and especially when you're in the gear, that can affect your thought process sometimes. Yeah. It's the hormones. They will affect your your. Yeah. So in a way, you become a bit selfish. You think about honestly, sometimes I'll train twice a day.
Right.
The most I ever grew, I trained twice a day, and my insulin protocol was only after training 4 hours. After train twice a day, take the insulin, then I'm a slave to it for 4 hours. Inside of my system is fast-acting Humalog. Yeah. That's what I use. Yeah. And twice a day. Okay. I did most of my growing that way. But so in that way. But I still had my fatherly duties. You got to pick the kids up in school. You got to cook for them. You got to do that because I was the registered primary carer for my kids. So I had to still do my fatherly duties. It's crazy.
Just disappeared from me again, George.
You're
back. You're back now. That's it. It disappeared. That's it. It looked like you're falling asleep. I
think
saw
it's
it
just
looked like you're
bobbing on
falling
and
asleep.
off.
Easy
It looked
going
like
on.
you're falling.
Sorry, Eddie, go on.
You look like you're falling asleep. I thought maybe I was boring you.
No, no. I'm honestly,
Frozen. No,
I'm
no,
just
not you,
really
not
taking
you.
it all in
No, no,
because
no, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about you because you froze at the time when your eyes were closed.
that's probably not a good look.
Me, don't you?
I know. Yeah.
So we move on to your nutrition. What was your schedule when it came to sort of how often you train body parts and how many days a week? Was that instinctive also, or?
Okay, so I believe in training. This is what the argument. What I argue with the young lads about with the push pull because with the push pull you end up training everybody part twice a week, blah blah blah. I'm like, well, not really because you're not training it properly. You're not training it. So to me, I was a sculptor. I looked at myself as a sculptor, right? I look at my physique, look at it, and I think, okay, I need more of this, so I'm going to hit that area more.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it is prioritizing my training. That's one of the reader principles as well. Readers prioritization. So you go in there and you think, right,
Yeah.
what my legs needed work. So let me tell you a quick story because Wayne D'Amelia, Wayne D'Amelia was head of the IFBB for a while, pro league, and then he saw me compete at my second pro show in Budapest. And then he came up to me and he goes to me, you got an incredible upper body, you need to bring your legs up a little bit. And this is what I want you to do. I want you for the next 6 months, when you go home, don't train your upper body at all, right? Train quads Monday, hamstrings and calves on Tuesday, Wednesday's off, quads again on Thursday, hamstrings and calves on Tuesday. And I did that. And I went to the States a few months after that and I kicked ass. And my physique just changed because he says prioritize. You don't have to we were sculpting something, and that's what I did. I did. So my training has always been the same. I enjoy training. If I'm doing a set and if I pick up a weight and I do 15 reps, I think I could do more. I'd do more. We've done up to 100 reps before. I was training Charlie Clermont, we was training Ricky Welling, Chris Milona, and I'd do 50 rep sets because we set out to do 12, and I'm thinking I can do more. So carry on doing until you're sick.
Yeah.
Because that's what the training was about. We didn't put limits. Now you say I've been doing 12 reps, right to 12, and then write it down. I'm thinking, hang on, you could have done more. You wasted that fucking set. It's a shame. It's a shame to see. It's a shame.
And you were also feeling it as well, which is.
You feel the training. You finish a set and you think, my God, you're in so much pain. But then that's what made us grow,
Absolutely.
You're hitting the muscle properly rather than, it's all different now. You can't advise these kids, and I just keep my mouth shut. And I don't even prep as many people now. Now I use my knowledge to help people who actually need my help. Like people who are overweight, making lifestyle changes, and I'm enjoying that. I love that because now I don't have this. I've got a few people that I prep obviously, but I don't have this prima donnas coming around and the chip on their shoulders because they got more muscle than someone else. You know what I mean? I don't have that anymore.
Yeah. Well, hopefully you'll come back on because I think I've disappeared again.
No, you're still here. I can see you.
Am I still there? Am I still there? Okay. So anyway, we'll carry. So, what was your nutrition then, Eddie? What do you sort of recommend, or has it changed since you did it? Then it probably won't have done. So, were you a high carb guy, high carb and protein? Because again, the craziness of today, it's all different.
So I always have this argument with people, and people. You cannot. I don't believe that you can prep somebody. Calorie counting prep somebody for a show. Because we're all different, and I explain that in a minute. You see, I had a girl who, a bikini girl, I was prepping her. She weighed about 7-8 stone, right? Tiny little girl.
Yeah.
She would eat 7,500 calories a day.
Wow.
Where she was having to blend it. I blend all my chicken and stuff, and I blend my food, and she was having to blend it. Because she couldn't. Her metabolism is so fast. So what I'm saying is that when I was trying to put on weight, I struggled as a body because I was very skinny as a child. So I was trying to eat 10,000 calories a day.
Right.
Think about it, 10,000 calories. You know how ridiculous that? Everything was blended with ice cream, peanut butter, and all that shit. They're taking digestive enzymes to knock it. That's how. So my life was like. So when it comes to food, I eat, even now I eat exactly the same thing I ate when I used to prep. So my breakfast, I got 2 lots of breakfast. This is what I'm trying to teach people now. I'm thinking every animal on this planet, if you've got a dog, your dog eats the same thing all the time.
Yeah.
You know, human beings, and we say human beings. It's in the West. We go to places like Africa, the third world, they eat the same things all the time. When you come over here, you find people like the food industry is so fucking terrible. They convince us that saying things like Cocoa Pops and Pop Tarts are food, and people are bringing it into bodybuilding. Fuck, that winds me up so much. These are processed shit that I wouldn't even feed my kids. So,
well, you see on social media now is always what cereal are you eating after your workout? Single time.
I mean, the way I looked at bodybuilding, I was thinking, okay, if I'm taking all these drugs, at least let me do something to offset that.
Yeah.
So eating healthy and keeping a healthy lifestyle in terms of my diet, I took all my supplements. So I'll tell you what I eat now and what I ate all through my bodybuilding career. So my first meal is either bowl of oats with some blueberries in it and a shake. That's my first, or eggs on toast. So any given day, I decide which one I want. Okay.
And how many? Sorry to break you off. How many eggs would that be?
Well, when I was competing, it used to be 10 eggs, but now I only have 5.
Is that 5 whole?
Whole, absolutely whole. That's it.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah. It was only when I was going to contest prep that sometimes towards the end, when I was, trying to deplete a bit, I'll take the yolks out. The yolks are important for me.
Like guy, me.
I'm a whole. I mean, I love eggs. I think they're good for me. Immune system. Whenever I feel run down, I go for eggs, and I'm good. And it's just that too. So that's my breakfast. Now my second meal 2, 3, and 4 are all the same. So it's chicken with any kind of veg blended together, and sometimes I have some rice, sometimes I have some carb powder blended if I don't have time to blend into it, and I drink it. Okay, that's meal 2, 3, and 4. Meal 5 is either salmon or steak. I take the fats out, I take the carbs out, and add the fats to it. Maybe sometimes I can have with cheese, sometimes I have peanut butter, sometimes I have avocado, sometimes I have a bit of bacon with that meal 5, and then meal 6 is my casing with some nuts. Go to bed. That's what I eat every single day.
So your carbohydrates kind of come down during the day till you change on to fat.
Absolutely. So that's what I eat now. When I was prepping for a show, towards the end, I take the eggs and toast out, and then the calories start working out in the amount of food you're eating and stuff like that. So my diet never changed really. It's still the same up to now. I eat the same things all the time. Anybody who comes to my gym sees me with my chicken drink.
How much water do you drink a day, Eddie?
5 liters without fail. I've done that for the last 30 years. 5 liters.
Yeah. Okay. What about sleep? Because people don't talk about that. Have you always sort of prioritized sleep? I mean, obviously, when I was competing, I prioritized sleep. Sleep was important. Obviously, I tried to get 8 hours. But now, running a business in the middle of a pandemic and blah blah blah, and trying to engage with some people on social media, even though I fucking hate social media, I really hate it. But it's something that we've got no choice. We have to use. I find it so false. I see people who should be. When I was a psychiatric nurse, they would have been patients. Yeah.
But now they're making a lot of noise on social media, and people are listening to them. I'm thinking, oh, dude, don't listen. You're going to kill yourself. I mean, I think certain individuals are so going to be responsible for a lot of health problems. In the future, people are not listening. People are not listening to him. I've become almost like a steroid rehabilitation place. I'm telling people to come up that. Give yourself a break.
Yeah.
Give yourself a break. I mean, even if it's the injection side, give the injection side a break. But no, they go up, they come down, they go up, they come down, and then
they never come off. Do they?
They never come off, and then they get to a certain age. A boy in his 20s in my old gym, in his 20s, and he says, "Oh, you know what? I'm struggling to get an erection." I'm like, "Hang on." At that age, I used to bash one out 6 times a day. Like, it's the truth. It's the truth. I used to bash one out. I would, you know what? That's how. And there was no way I was going to know how to find that. That's what it was. It was about, but now people have accepted it because they've shut themselves down completely. And people are starting testosterone replacement therapy in their 30s, and they're okay with it. You know.
You know what? I've heard a couple of stories.
How's he gone?
So I know that it's true, and I've heard some lads in sort of the mid-20s for shows have been taking upwards of 22 to 24 mil a week for shows.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, you can see in your face, it didn't surprise you. That's the scary thing, isn't it?
I think you know, you go to other sport like football, okay? You know when somebody, you know, I played football and I watch football, and when you know someone's good, they're good. You look at them and think, "Shit, I couldn't do that when I was that age. I tried to and I couldn't do it."
Yeah.
Bodybuilding is the only sport where every idiot thinks they can look like. You know, I've had a guy come to me. He's 6 foot. I was telling you, I was 6 foot, and he said to me, "Look, I want to do the same class as Flexilis because I'm bigger than him." And I said, "Hang on, hang on, are you kidding me?" That's how they're looking at it. And look at him, and people. I mean, I've got a guy who comes up and every time he checks in, he takes his clothes off and he says, "Oh, you don't give me a compliment." And I'm thinking, do you want me to suck your dick? There's no compliment to give. I don't. Do you know what I mean? I've stood next to Ronnie Coleman. I've stood next to Jay Cutler. I stood next to Tony Freeman. I stood next to Gustavo Badeo. I stood next to you know, some Nasser El Sambati, Paul Dile, Milo. You're not going to impress me. None of you is going to impress me. And when people say that, I'm like, shut up. Just let me help you get ready and be quiet. But because social media make these people think they are stars when they're not, and that's what we're dealing with now. It's very sad. It's frozen again.
It's frozen again, haven't you? You there, Craig?
Yeah, I'm here, mate. It just says Paul again, for some reason. Am I back or?
Yeah, you're back. If you keep doing it, the video, white button of the video, press that and it'll turn your video off and it'll use less bandwidth then. But it should be alright. It's alright now.
No, when you don't, that's what we're trying to teach. How old are you?
I'm 31 actually.
The thing for me is as well is, I just think, like you said, everybody just thinks they can go to a gym, listen to someone that says take a lot of gear, and you're going to look like those guys looked. And it's just, you know, I get it all the time. They come to me and it's like, well, what shall I take? They haven't even had a workout yet.
Yeah, man, it's true. They're not. It's the other thing is when somebody says to me, "Eddie, can you give me a workout?" I've never understood that because it says, "Oh, okay, so I can give you a workout." So I've got 12 different ways of doing lunges, walking lunges, 12 different ways. Yeah, I got when I'm doing bench press, I do it's you cannot give somebody a workout. That doesn't work like that. Yeah, you have to something that I don't know if that makes sense, but you see people writing on Googling. You come in as a girl. This is about 5 years ago. Came to my gym and she's sitting at the machine. She's doing squats. She puts 5 kilos aside, did 15 reps, sits down, writes it down, and then put 10 kilos to 15 reps, write it down. And I said, so when I said to her, look, so what are you doing? Oh, this is what my coach has told me to do. I said, okay, so how old is the coach? 24. You're 40 fucking 2 years old. You listen to some fucking kid who can't even wipe his own ass. And so she's doing. So I said to her, right, hang on a minute, put that fucking book down. So I managed to whack 25 kilos aside. She did 15 reps. When I'm 30 kilos aside, 15 reps. She goes, I didn't think I could do that. I'm like, well, of course you wouldn't, because why would you know? Some kid online sitting there telling you how to train. Are you stupid? And that's what people become so gullible. And until people realize that that's what's going on, we're not going to see any more decent physiques there's a guy called JP. He should disappear and leave this industry alone, because he's fucked up so much with the industry, because he's ruined the industry because people listen to him. And I'm sorry about that. I have to mention names, but I think he's responsible for a lot of what's going on. A lot of people are going to have mental health issues and physical issues when they're older, because you're listening to him about his drugs protocol. He's open about it, tells people what to do, and this push-pulls. We're not creating the physiques that we see. The human body hasn't changed. We got more people. We got people with incredible genetics in this country, but they're not giving themselves enough time to grow because they want to quickly show up on social media.
They want it, don't
I want to know.
Yeah, they do.
You know, it took me 5 years to win the British Championship. It took me 10 years to go on the Olympia stage. 10 years. You know, and I was prepared to wait. It's about consistency, patience, and work ethic.
Absolutely. So, just going back, Eddie, you know your nutrition. Were you sort of a supplement user? You know, like did you use things? You know, like or.
Do you know, I don't sell any supplements in my gym, and people ask me. Obviously, I also what's the word? A sponsorship whore. I call myself. I've been sponsored by Metrics, I've been sponsored by ProLab, CMP, Cytec. I was a whore because we got to make the money. So, but I use whey protein.
Yeah.
And there are things like vitamin C, zinc, omega-3, what's the word? B complex.
Yeah.
And multivitamin. I take all of that. Okay. I use creatine, I use glutamine. That's about it.
Yeah.
I don't believe in. I see people walking around with all these intra-workout drinks. I'm like, hang on, let me explain something, right? So the reason why I used to use an intra-workout drink was because I'd taken insulin before I was training.
Yeah.
Because I believe that for true anabolism to take place, sometimes a little bit of the catabolic process has to, that's how your body overcompensates. I don't know if that makes any sense.
It does.
So, but these kids are going to the gym, they're drinking all this drinking, and they look shit. I'm like, you see, I'm sorry, but you're following everything that's been written down. It's scientific. But bodybuilding is not a scientific sport. We're all so different. It isn't. Yeah. We're all so different. We're all individuals, and we respond differently. I train with 4 people at different times, and all of them, sometimes you see, like Ricky Welling, fucking his calves got bigger and bigger than them. I'm like, stop training them. Whereas mine didn't grow.
Yeah.
I train 2 people. One who do really well on no carbs, all the way through the prep, very low carbs. They look better. Somebody take the carbs out, they crash.
Yeah.
Everybody's different. You got to find out what works for you. But you do that by sorry, somebody is trying to call me. Hang on. Yes.
Yeah.
So that's fine. What happens, and
yeah.
So people are trying to
So they're pretty much the basic supplements, are they? But I think everybody's gone to an extreme now, haven't they? Like you say, with the Ibras, everybody thinks there's a secret there that's going to make them that little bit bigger.
There isn't. One of the first things we realize that there's no secret to bodybuilding. You either got the genetics for it, or you can go. Look, I say this is what I say. People say, "Oh, you can't say that because it's offensive." Back in the day, 3/4 of the people competing now would have. We used to hide. They used to hide.
Yeah.
Because we're not good enough. You remember?
Yeah, I have these conversations all the time when I sort of say, people look at me like I'm stupid, but I will literally, because I'm like you, if they're asking me about that truthfully, I have to tell them. And a 90-kilo guy now would not have survived against a 90-kilo guy.
No.
He wouldn't have lived.
And it sounds like, oh no, these old people are talking about back in the day. It's the truth. We look at the pictures. It's the truth. You can see. It's not. We're not making this up. When I did my first show, I would have got fucking 5 broadcasts from every federation when I did my first show. Even though I didn't place, I was beat by Peter Chapman, Linky Wilson, and they all beat me. Yeah. And I remember thinking, damn, those guys were incredible. That's it. It was the training. They trained hard. They ate hard. They sacrificed bodybuilding. They ate a certain way. There was no shit cribbing to their food. Yeah. The food was clean all the time because, believe it or not, I don't know how my body is going to respond to some of this shit that people are eating now.
Yeah.
Because, so I've got a problem with the food industry. If you can't trust them with their single source or single ingredient foods. Like if you buy chicken, you don't know what they've done to it. Raw chicken, you got no idea what they've done to the single ingredient food. If you buy lettuce, you don't even know what they've done to it. So if I don't trust them with their single ingredient foods, how am I going to trust them with their multiple ingredient foods? Like where they're free to add whatever they want to it, and there's fuck all we can do about it. Put as much sugar. If you layer sugar, salt, and fats in a clever way, it becomes very tasty. That's what becomes addictive. And people are eating it, and then now I'm dealing with people because I had to do a refresher course on my psychiatric nursing, so I'm helping more people with eating disorders, because I look at obesity as an eating disorder. Because most people are addicted to food, and why? Because I it's only in the West though, not it's the Western disease. Some over here people are like you got to live a little means, one, you got to eat sugar, two, you got to drink alcohol, three, you got to take drugs, and then bungee jump. That's what it means.
Well, it's like you. I kind of pretty much eat the same thing every single day, and people just go to me, "Well, it's boring. How the hell do you do that?" For me, that was what I required to get what I wanted, so I did it. It never even occurred to me, well, that tastes nice. It's not about taste.
I know it's not about people who want to taste it. So it's about look. I look at it this way. Look at your body as a machine. This is what I said to my clients. Look at your body as a machine, okay? You're a car, okay? Now, a car, if you put it needs water, it needs petrol, it needs oil. If you don't put the right oil, even put enough oil in it, the car will probably just eventually stop. Whereas your body is designed to borrow from within itself and keep itself going, sustain itself, keep you in order, trying to borrow from within itself and keep it going. Now, when I put diesel in my car doesn't go, oh my God, that's good diesel. I'm so excited. No, today I don't want diesel. It's boring. I will let me have some unleaded. If I want super unleaded, your car doesn't do that. We just think, with human beings, we think they're so important that we ignore. Look, my sister, I've not spoken to my sister for a very long time back in Ghana. Since last time I had a proper conversation with her, I was 77. And then I started talking to her in 2007. I found out she wasn't well. I changed her diet. She couldn't even walk. I changed her diet and made her eat all the stuff that we've been told not to eat over here. They were sending them over to Africa, and the people were eating them all this thin shit. And then eventually I said, stop, eat only natural stuff. Now she can run. And you can see the change, and all it was food. She goes to me, I didn't realize how important food was, because we've lost that. The food is fuel first.
We ought to just enjoy it too much, aren't we, at the end of the day?
We should go back to food is fuel and then enjoyment, rather than food is for enjoyment then fuel.
Yeah, absolutely. So if we could then, Eddie, could we touch on the thing that people always want to ask about, sort of the drug thing? So I know you said that sort of insulin was more your... So a quick one on that before you just get into anything is, what do you think at the moment then is causing the huge belly effect? Because a lot blame the insulin, but yet you had a very small waist. So...
Well, not really. Insulin gave me it affected my symmetry 100%, because so eventually the thing that saved my waistline was Vitalgo. Vitalgo, right? Yeah. Because Vitalgo, when it came on the market, it was so. My body doesn't process simple sugars very well, and when I was working at Milo, it's all about simple sugars like glucose. So we finished training, and then it was like a shitload of glucose. So it was 1 IU to 10 grams of carbs, isn't it? That we used to take. So if I'm doing, let's say, 15 IUs of insulin, it has to be 150 grams of glucose. And my body just couldn't take it. My belly was out here constantly. I just felt, and that's what it is. It's the amount of carbs that you have to put in, and most of them, they're simple carbs that you have to put in after training or with the insulin, because as a result of taking insulin, it will blow you up 100%. It's not always the GH. I think it's more insulin than the GH. That's how my body. I see some pictures where I'm thinking my midsection is being so good, but I was not doing as well as I wanted to do. I had to play the size game by going to, putting a bit of size. I went up to 23, like 400 and 312 pounds. I went to. Wow. I couldn't carry it. I had to come. That's too much. And my gut was out here, because you needed the calories, the amount of food, the amount of sugars. So I'm training twice a day. So after every training session, I have 20 IUs of insulin. Now 20 IUs of insulin means I'm going to have 200 grams of simple sugars, like glucose, knock you back, and then you can feel it swimming in your tummy and the bloating and all that, and then you do it again after 6 o'clock again. And that's how I got bloated. And I think that's what's causing the problem.
Okay, okay.
More than the GH.
Okay, so did you use GH?
Well, do you know what, right? I didn't. I just thought it was one, I couldn't afford it. I said, I had the kids when I was that young. One, I couldn't afford it. All my bodybuilding careers, actually trying to work. I think I used some GH about 3 times.
Right.
And I just thought it was overrated. So I stopped. I just thought it was overrated. I didn't think
Okay.
it was,
Yeah.
I thought it was overrated.
Yeah, okay. So what about then, as you spoke about the steroids then, because I know you said you never went over 750, which you're always going to get
Oh, no, I
people
did. I did go over 750 for
okay.
about 3 or 4 weeks. And that's when,
You got
so
those
I was
anxiety.
training Charlie. Charlie came back one day and he's like, you know what? We got to step up this, got to step up. I want you to try it. Or look. And I found out he was talking about using a vial of SAS every day from Monday to Friday. So that's what I was doing, sucking a vial of SAS. And then within 2-3 weeks, I started getting these panic attacks. And I'm thinking, what the hell's going on with me?
Yeah,
Then
yeah.
it took a while to realize I kept it going. I was getting stronger. I was getting, then eventually I realized that I couldn't handle it. When my wife said, oh, come off it, I came off it. Doctor had prescribed me some antidepressants and Valium and propranolol because I was getting these panic attacks daily, sometimes 3 or 4 times, sometimes in the gym. I had to run out of the gym. And as soon as it comes on, you have to go for a shit. Literally, straight away, as soon as it comes on, it's like your sympathetic nervous system, it just
Right.
is activated, and then you're thinking, shit. So I came off, dropped it down to 4 a week. That's 1,000 milligrams. It was still too much. And I realized that I just come down. I was meant to come as lower. So to me, I realized that I couldn't go further until I started learning about more about using insulin. And then with the combination of the two, that's when I did most of my growing. I don't know if I'm there.
So were you taking other things with that, or was it mainly just a test? Other than
So I and I always mention this story, and people say, "Yeah, right, that's not possible." Actually, put on social media the other day. The owner of the gym, I trained in St Albans, in Body Limit Gym. He was my training partner at the time, and he's helped me out with. He's actually doing my shots for me, back in the day. And I did my first pro show in the States was the Night Champion 2000. I went in there. It was 48 competitors. You had Paul Dillett, Dexter Jackson, Jay Cutler won. They were all there. All the pros were there. Oliver Burke. I remember Oliver Burke. Lee Priest. And
yeah, I do.
JD was there. JD was there. Sean Davis was there. And I was in the second call out. People were like, shit, what did you do? I'll tell you what I used for that show. I used 450 milligram Deckers, organon. That's what I used for 12 weeks. That's all I used.
Right.
Even though I was a bit smaller, but the symmetry, I had to delay my flight and get lost. Every photo, literally, everybody wanted to take photos of me because I look good. My waist was small. I kept it. That was before. Then people were like, you know what? If you want to go place high, I need to get a bit bigger. That's when the size game came in, and I ended up getting all bloated and stuff. You know what I mean? But yeah,
I think everybody would play, won't they? Just trying to figure.
Would you say, sorry?
I think everybody were playing that game then, though. Weren't they just thinking they needed to get bigger and bigger and bigger?
Yeah, because that's what was required. Dorian came around, he obliterated the scene with his size, and we all thought, you know what, but I couldn't take much of the gear because of my constitution couldn't handle it. Now, when I say to people, look, you don't have the genetics for bodybuilding. It's not just about your natural shape; it's also your ability to withstand all these drugs and survive it.
Yeah, makes sense.
And which is not everybody has. I mean, come on, how many people have died? Trials on this. We just sad. As soon as a bodybuilder dies, we just cover that, move on. Let's address why these people are dying. It's only a sport that doesn't have a body that says, hang on a minute. Let's look at these people that we make money from. That's it. We don't make anything, and that's what we don't make as much as we should. But we do all of that. We take all of stuff. We put our health in danger, and nobody gives a shit. And that's what upsets me because let's have a body. Let's create a body that's totally independent. Okay, so before you set up a show, you pay into that body first.
Yeah.
Before you compete, and before you run a show, and then the athletes advise, check them all. People need to be looked after. Basically, I find it really sad, and it breaks my heart because I see young people go. What's going to happen? I know what's going to happen to them when they get to a certain age.
Control, aren't they? They're out of control, and I think the trouble is as well. I've said this to George the other day. There's a lot of guys now going, "Oh well, I've backed off quite a lot now, but the damage is probably done."
Yeah, so of course it is. Damage done.
The damage is done.
I never touched the gear until I was 26, 27.
Yeah.
So I understand. I knew I trained. I love training. So if you go to the gym with the intentions of becoming a bodybuilder, I want to become a bodybuilder. I want to get to the top. Before you lifted the weight, you're fucked.
Yeah.
Because I started training because I love training. I used to get the pump in my biceps, and I used to get the sensation. I used to get the training. Training was what drew me into the sport. Obviously, the bodybuilding is almost like a natural progression. But these people are coming in. They're looking at the picture. You know what? I want to look like that. And I'm gonna, even though that person is 6 foot, you're 5'4", he's black, you're white. And where you're still going to go, I'm going to chase you, and then you're chasing a dream that is never going to materialize. It's very sad.
So if we could, Eddie, because we've kept you long enough, I know, just one more thing if we could, because I like to just touch on this, particularly with people with your knowledge, is what do you think of the peak week, so to speak, that everybody talks about, the crazy peak week protocols? What's your take on that with the carbing up, staying the same, the water high, the water low, salt, those types of things, if we could?
I'll tell you what I did, and Milos taught me that and worked. And Milos taught me that. Andy Taylor is the one actually who first taught me. So this is simple. So depending, some people don't need to be carb loaded. They get ready for a show. The night before, drop their water. They're ready for the show because if it's not broken, don't fix it. Some people towards the end, that to make them look their best, to make them look fuller, you have to deplete them. So I deplete them for about 4 or 5 days, and then I load them up. Whilst I'm loading them up, whilst depleting, I take all their sodium out, and then when they are loading, when they on the night before the show, I put the sodium in, or on the morning of the show, put the sodium in to make them look fuller. That's how I did it. So what happened? So on the first day of carb loading, so I'm talking about me now. So my first, when I'm depleting, I'll drink a lot of water. So it's mainly a lot of carbs and protein and some fats. It's frozen, isn't it? It's frozen.
Is it frozen again? It's all right for me.
That's better now. Okay, so a week before, I take a lot of my carbs out, depending on how I looked. Sometimes I take all my carbs out, sometimes I won't. And then the sodium comes out as well. Sodium comes out, and then I keep going. And then on either show it's on, let's say let's go to the States on a Wednesday, before the show.
So to break you off, Eddie, while you
pardon?
What do you do with your water intake at that point?
Okay,
Sorry to break you off.
Yeah, no,
what do you do with your water?
That's what I was going to say. So at that point, when I'm depleting, I'm drinking about 6 to 8 liters of water when I'm depleting.
Right.
And with that, I've got multi-minerals and multivitamins in my body all the time. I keep that in, and I keep some and then after that, so that's the water is about 6 to 8 liters. So the 5 days I'm depleting, and then when I start carb loading, on the first day my water goes down to 2 liters.
All right.
The second day it goes down to 1.5 liters, and then the last day it's 1 liter, and then I stop it at about 7 o'clock, and I'm ready.
Right. Okay. But what would you do on the day of the show? Because people really struggle with that as well.
Well, but it depends. See, I prepped so many, and in the end, I prepped I was trying to work out by paper. So I prepped about 1,700 people over there. I don't know, it's so many people are crazy. So anyway, so what I would do was on the day of the show, depending on how the person, how I looked, I'd get up in the morning, and then I'll still stick to my carb loading meals.
Okay. Right.
So I would. That's it. That's my prep's done. So I stick to my carb load. Obviously, I'm not going to drink any water until after the show. So we used to believe in the dehydration thing. That worked really well for us. Dehydration, because I saw. I did a tour of European tour with Jay Cutler and Ronnie Coleman. I didn't see Jay Cutler drink any water, any fluids for about 4 days.
Yeah.
So we believed in that. That's what we did, and it worked really well for us. So on the day of the show, no water comes in. That's it.
But when you were carbing up as well, Eddie, was your protein intake very low?
Very low, absolutely. I mean, like I'm having like, so with a carb meal, I'll have about 100 grams of let's say chicken, or I used to like steak when I was carb loading. It used to get me a lot tighter. So chicken, usually chicken thighs, because I'm not know about the fats aside. So chicken thighs and steak. That's all I ate. You know.
What about the people that do like the wine the night before the show?
But I did that. I did the wine thing because it stopped me from having to clean the diuretics too much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So the diuretics was the reason why I did the wine, because it was almost like because you're so thirsty. To me, it's about the psychological aspect, because I used to do my sodium loading the night before by eating, let's say, a burger or something like that with a bit of salt in it. And then the wine felt like you, at least, because it's dry, you stopped your water. So I stopped my water about 7 o'clock, and then I'll be drinking that wine. It feels like you're drinking, it quenches the thirst, even though you wake up in your mouth is as dry as a nan's fanny.
Yeah. What about sort of like the backstage things? Did you do any specific backstage before you sort of went on, or
no? I didn't believe in any of that. I've watched somebody ruin their physique by having a biscuit backstage. People are just bored into the shit, so they're eating bikini girls with packets of Haribos. I'm like, do you actually understand why we used to do that?
Yeah,
because it's to bring out veins in us. That's the reason why we did that. I don't understand why people do it now. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Right then, I think, unless you've got anything to add, George, I think...
No, I just listening, and it's interesting how you've sort of saying, you know, a lot of the things that we've also spoke to the other people before, you know, the training, the nutrition, and just, it's all a common theme that now obviously seems to be, it's all about, you know, how much can I take first, you know, but get back to training. I like it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm glad to talk to you guys. I'm trying to help out the young people, and it's very sad. I see them going the wrong way, and you can't help them because they're bought into a system that you can, you know. That's it. It's sad.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we'll bring it back. Maybe some hard training.
Good. All right.
Yeah.
Listen, it's been good talking to you guys, man.
No, you too. No, thank you very much. That was really helpful, really insightful. I think Craig's gone in.
Frozen. That's it. It looks like he's just. He always freezes when his eyes closed.
He's back.
It's a good. Right, Eddie. Thank you very much.
Take care, guys. Hopefully, bump into each other soon after lockdown. All right. Bye, guys.